There's something most people don't realize about artists. It's not the tools or the techniques that separate the professionals from beginners. It's not style. It's not software. It's something way deeper and way more human. It's the mental war that happens every single time we sit down to create something from nothing. And that war isn't just limited to artists. That internal resistance, that voice that says, you're not good enough, it shows up for everyone. Whether you're trying to build a business, start a project, get in shape, or fix something in your life, that same voice follows you. And it doesn't care how talented or experienced you are. So today, while I draw this creature, I want to talk about that voice, what it says, what it takes from us, and how we fight back. Not just with talent or brute force, but with something far more honest: patience, persistence, and a little bit of defiance. Self doubt doesn't always scream, sometimes it whispers. It sounds like, this isn't turning out how you pictured it, or you're wasting your time, or you'll never be as good as that person you just saw on Instagram. It tricks you into thinking your work doesn't matter, that your effort is just noise. But what makes that voice so powerful isn't its volume, it's how familiar it feels. Like it's just a part of you. And that's the cruel trick, because we start to believe that voice is telling the truth, that it's looking out for us. But here's the truth: that voice is scared. It's trying to protect you from failure, from rejection, from embarrassment. And yeah, that fear is real. But giving into it doesn't keep you safe, it just keeps you stuck. Every artist, no matter how long they've been doing this, hits a wall. Sometimes that wall shows up 10 minutes into a sketch. Sometimes you stare at it for weeks. The wall is doubt, it's burnout, comparison, fear, fatigue. Pick your poison. But it always feels the same, like the work ahead is just too heavy. Like maybe you've hit your limit. And in that moment, the easiest thing to do is step away. The easiest thing to do is to say, I'm just not feeling it today. To abandon the page before it abandons you. But the hard truth, that wall never really goes away. What changes is your relationship to it. You learn to expect it. You learn to breathe through it. And eventually, you learn to push forward with it. I've seen some of the most talented people I have ever met walk away from their art. Not because they lacked skill, no, but because they didn't know how to handle the weight of their own expectations. They thought, if I'm struggling this much, I must not be cut out for this. But what they didn't realize is that struggle is built into the process. It's not a red flag, it's a feature. You can be brilliant and still feel lost. You can be experienced and still wrestle with insecurity. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And if more people understood that, we'd have way fewer abandoned sketchbooks, unwritten songs, shelved dreams, you name it. Right now, if you look at what I'm drawing, it probably doesn't make a ton of sense. It's messy, some of it's loose. Just experimenting. Some of the proportions might be wrong, awkward shapes. This is the ugly middle. It's where most people panic because it's not what they pictured in their head. So they assume they've messed up. But the ugly middle is part of the process every single time. Not just in art, in life. Whether you're learning a skill, healing from something, or building something new. It always gets worse before it gets better. If you trust that clarity, which comes from continuing, not from quitting, you give yourself a shot at finishing something that you can be proud of. Perfectionism disguises itself as high standards, as discipline, as taste. What it really is fear. I always heard that perfectionism is actually a fancy term for procrastination. It's the fear of being seen before you're ready. It's the fear of being judged for something that doesn't match the perfect version in your mind. So it tells you you're not ready. You're not ready yet. Just wait. Fix it more. Practice in secret. But here's the thing. You will never feel ready. You'll never hit a point where that voice says, okay, now it's safe to share. Because perfectionism isn't a strategy, it's a stall tactic. It keeps you refining instead of releasing. It keeps you stuck instead of growing. The only way to break it is to share your work before you feel comfortable. To ship the thing. To let it be seen, flaws and all. So what does it actually mean to be a good artist? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not about perfect anatomy. It's not about how many followers you have or how fast you can paint. Being a good artist means being resilient. It means showing up on the days when you don't feel like it. It means starting even when you're tired. It means finishing even when you're scared. It means choosing curiosity over shame, play over pressure. It's building a relationship with your creativity that isn't based on productivity. And yeah, it's hard. I get it. But that's why it matters. Art reveals you to yourself. When you're frustrated with a drawing, you're not just frustrated with the shapes. You're wrestling with your own need for control. When you overwork something, you're confronting your fear of not being good enough. Every line you put down is a mirror. And if you're brave enough to keep drawing, you'll start to notice your patterns, your mental habits, your triggers. And the cool part, once you see them, you can start to change them. So yeah, drawing is about creatures and designs and cool shapes. But it's also about self-awareness. It's emotional training. It's meditation. It's therapy with a sketch pad. So, maybe the creature I'm drawing today never ends up in a game or a movie. Maybe no one but you guys see it, even though it is on my YouTube channel. Hey, I may never use it for anything. That doesn't matter. What matters is this. I showed up. I faced that voice. I pushed through the doubt, and I created something that didn't exist 25 minutes ago, or an hour ago, or a day ago. You can do that too. You can do it with your art, with your writing, with your life. Don't wait for the fear to leave, because it won't. But you can keep going with the fear, and over time you'll realize you were never supposed to be fearless. You were just supposed to be brave. A lot of people want to start drawing but don't know where to begin. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you've told yourself things like, I'm not artistic, or I didn't get that gene, or I'm too old to start now. But those are just myths we pick up along the way. And they're built on the lie that creativity belongs to a chosen few. It doesn't. Creativity is a muscle, not a magic trick. It's something you built little by little, one sketch at a time. If you're just starting out, don't worry about being original or good. Worry about being consistent. Pick up a pencil. Draw the thing in front of you. Draw it badly. Then draw it again. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is only closed through mileage. It's not about finding the right brush or watching the right tutorial, though those do help. It's about repetition. Repetition creates confidence. Confidence leads to flow, and flow leads to joy. You don't need fancy tools to get good. A ballpoint pen and a cheap notebook can take you further than a $2,000 tablet if you actually use them. Focus on the shapes, focus on lines, draw from life, trace, copy. I know some people say tracing is cheating, but in the beginning it's not, it's training. If musicians learn by playing other people's songs, why can't artists learn by studying other people's lines? Over time, you'll start to build your own voice, but only if you keep going long enough to hear it. Also, give yourself permission to suck. Seriously, it's not negativity. That's freedom. If you can accept that your first 100 drawings will be awkward, your first 1,000 might be inconsistent, and your style might not show up for years, then suddenly there's nothing left to prove. You can just enjoy the process. The less pressure you put on each sketch, the more likely you are to grow from it. Try not to compare yourself to artists who've been doing this for a decade or more. That's like picking up a guitar for the first time and comparing yourself to Hendrix. You can't do that. That comparison will crush your momentum. Instead, compare yourself to yesterday's version of you. Did you draw today? Great. You're already improving. Progress compounds quietly. And then, one day, you look back and realize you're not a beginner anymore. Draw what excites you, not what's trendy, or not what you think will go viral. One of the worst things I think artists do is they suffer from FOMO. And they start drawing what they believe everybody else in public wants to see because they're chasing the likes and they're not chasing the progress. Happens all the time. Because guess what? I did that for a long time. I did it until I stopped. That's why I've learned to niche down and really get good at what I am passionate about. Creepy, hairy, alien bug stuff. And of course, I like other things in art too. But it took me a while to really realize that. Go all in. If you love weird little robots or creepy trees or stylized eyes, go all in. The more you draw what you love, the longer you'll stick with it. And when you stick with it, you get very good at that one thing. And when you get good at that one thing, that's when you can actually enjoy doing what you're doing. The longer you stick with it, the more your skill will evolve naturally, without forcing it. So maybe you're sitting there with a sketchbook that's still blank. Maybe you've opened it a dozen times this week and closed it every single time. Or maybe you bought the expensive software, the fancy pens, the tablet with all the buttons, but somehow you still haven't made a single mark. That doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're not creative. It just means you're human. Starting is hard because starting means facing yourself. And in the beginning, your taste will be better than your skill. You'll see the gap between what you wanted to draw and what actually came out. And that gap, man, it is brutal. But here's what most people never hear: the gap is where growth lives. If you didn't feel that disconnect, you wouldn't improve. So if your drawings don't look like what you imagined, congratulations. That means you're on the right path. But what do you do when you truly don't know where to begin? Let me give you a few things I wish someone had told me at the start. First, don't start with what's impressive. Start with what's doable. Draw a cup. Draw a tree. Your hand. The shape of your shoe. Draw something real before you try to invent something imaginary. Because observation is fuel for imagination. When you can see clearly, you can invent clearly. Second, set micro goals. Don't aim for the perfect creature. Aim for 10 silhouettes, or 5 thumbnails, or 1 page of weird alien arms. Make it small. Make it achievable, because momentum matters more than a masterpiece. Done is better than perfect. Third, build rituals, not pressure. Don't sit down to improve anything. Sit down to explore. Light a candle. Put on music. Make it feel like play again. If you create a space that feels safe, you'll keep showing up. And showing up is the secret. It always has been. Fourth, draw ugly. On purpose. Fill a sketchbook with bad art. Seriously. Make a game of it. This is why I'm telling everybody in almost all of my videos, learn how to scribble. Let yourself go. Make a game of it. Because when you stop trying to make everything good, you finally give yourself space to get good. Style comes from volume. Confidence comes from failure. And mastery? Mastery comes from being bad long enough to understand what makes something good. And finally, be kind to the version of you who's just beginning. You don't need to hustle your way to excellence. You don't need to be amazing in a year. You don't even need to post your work. You just need to love your way through the mess. Because if you do that, your skill will grow. Your voice will emerge. And eventually, your art will become more than a hobby, more than a dream. It will become a language, a way of seeing, a way of healing, and a way of living. So, whatever's been holding you back, fear, perfectionism, confusion, pressure, you don't have to wait for it to disappear. You can start anyway. Start with lines, start with shapes, start with stick figures if you have to. Just start. Because the act of making something, even something small, is defiance against the voice in your head that says you can't. And every time you show up, that voice gets a little quieter. Until one day, you don't hear it as much. You just hear the pencil moving and the sound of your own curiosity waking up. That's where the magic is, folks. That's why we draw. Hopefully today was helpful. Comment below if you enjoyed this, you're going through some of these troubles, and check the links in the description for our Discord so you can meet and interact with like-minded people that may be going through the same thing you're going through. Get the sketchbooks out. There's no excuse. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, peace.